Some of you may remember I think it was maybe 10 years ago or something like that, my first Beach Boys related video on this channel, and that was called Top 10 Worst Beach Boys Album Covers, in my opinion. So today I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm just going to rank the best album covers by the Beach Boys. And once again, in my opinion, so they are my favorites, my personal favorites. They might not be your personal favorites, so don't be triggered or angry because of my list. I would love to know your favorites in the comment section, but let's just get right into it. My number 10 is Summer in Paradise from 1992, and you can say a lot of things about the album, but I actually do really love the artwork. Some people say it's kind of tacky, and I can get that idea, but I don't feel that way, because I think there's something about those details and that those colors, and also just a theme and the graphic design. The whole package is really tastefully, in my opinion, done, and it would be so beautiful on vinyl. Please, reissue, please, come on, we need a reissue. I'm not gonna pay, I don't know, $2,000 or something for that vinyl, Korean vinyl. That, I don't know, there's maybe 13 of those in the whole world. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, that's my number 10. So, really love that. Number 9 is Surf's Up, and I would have loved to put this one higher on the list because it's definitely one of my favorites, but I noticed while I did this list that I prefer most of the times albums that have photography on them. As much as I love illustrations and drawings and paintings, for some reason, at least when it comes to the Beach Boys, I prefer usually the ones with the photographs. So a lot of these that are lower on the list are illustrations or paintings, and so is this Surf's Up one too. But with Surf's Up, I wish that the album cover was a little bit more lighter, because it's so dark. It is so dark that it doesn't look very good on the wall, on any kind of... Well, you have like a gallery of album covers. It doesn't really look like any... It really looks like just a mess. So I just wish that the colors would pop up a little bit more. They would be a little bit brighter, I guess, is the word that I'm looking for. But I love the theme, and I love the graphic design once again. And I think that actually has the most beautiful back cover of any Beach Boys album, though I'm not really reviewing that or, considering the back cover in any way when I'm talking about now the album covers. I'm just talking about the cover in itself, front cover. Anyway, let's move on. Number 8 is Keeping the Summer Alive from 1980. And this is a very controversial one. A lot of people hate this, and I don't understand. I love it. I always loved it. I think it's cool. I love that now they even have a t-shirt, like an official t-shirt with the design. Love it, just completely love it. I think it's great that it has all the core members on it, and the whole drawing, that whole idea, I think it's super cool. It has a quirky, funny vibe, even though it's kind of sad in the same time, because they are in their own glass bubble in the middle of this Arctic. So it has a sort of melancholiness in it. So I think it fits the Beach Boys style very well. It is kind of ironic in many ways, but overall I always loved it. I think it's great, and it showcases the band sort of in a time what I like to think of kind of a peak version or era of the group, even though Keeping the Summer Alive album is maybe not the highest quality, but during that time they were alive. Very cool band. 1980 was a great year for their live performances, so I think that's like one of their top sort of eras when it comes to their live performance quality. So I think that album cover is great because it sort of represents that. But anyway, let's move on. Number 7 is The Beach Boys Love You from 1977. And Love You, once again, it's a great concept. And I didn't know for the longest of time that it's actually like a knitting map. I always just, because, I am born in the 90s, and my first gaming console was a Nintendo, the original Nintendo. So I grew up with those sounds and that pixelated style of gameplay, that early gaming style. So I always thought pixels when I saw that cover. And if you spin the record, you notice that the music itself sounds kind of like a Nintendo music in a way too. So I just think that was really rad. But supposedly it's about knitting because Nintendo didn't exist in '77, so it wasn't a thing. But anyway, I love it. And why is there not any official merchandising using this design? I have no idea. It's criminal. Anyway, let's move on. Number 6 is Friends from '68, and Friends is it should be kind of higher on the list, or could be. I love the colors of it, and I think it's, even though it's a very conceptually, like that whole idea is kind of very boring. It just has the group painted in the middle, and then, but what really makes it is the colors and the style. There's really nothing else to it, but then there are the clouds, and then there's like a reflection of water with blue sort of colors, and it's very soothing. I think it's really beautiful, and I always loved it. Some people hate the cover, and I have no idea why, because for me it was always one of their best, but everybody's got their opinion. Number 5 is Surfer Girl, so one of the early albums from '63. The picture comes from their first sort of big photo shoot that they did on Paradise Cove. And obviously they have the surfboard over there. So it comes from the same session that, for example, their debut album's cover comes from. But this one I really love. It's an iconic shot, and not just that, but the sort of the graphic design, that illustration, or the typography, that font is so beautiful. The Surfer Girl, I can just imagine it. It's the colors, everything sort of pops up in the right way, and it's balanced really well. So yeah, that's my number 5. Number 4 is, let me see. It's from 1967, and it is Smiley Smile. So Smiley Smile's cover is very interesting. A lot of times you hear me saying that's my favorite or top 3, but this I don't know, for some reason I put it on the spot 4. But Smiley Smile anyway, it's once again one of those album covers by the Beach Boys that should be used in merchandising, because the typography is amazing, the colors are amazing, and all the animals are super cool, and it has a cool vibe. It's very unique, quirky, kind of creepy, but also positive. It just has a really cool vibe, and I think it represents the music so well. So yeah, let's move on. Number 3 is Surfin Safari, their debut album from '62. Like I just mentioned, it comes from the same photo shoot as comes the Surfer Girl album cover 2. But this one is so iconic. They have the Woody, the car over there, and the surfboard once again. And they have a lot of shots from that same situation. They had the guys positioned in a lot of ways and doing different things in that photo shoot with the car. But I think they chose the right image for this cover, because somehow the personalities of each member comes through, and it has movement. It sort of has that it's not still, it has that sort of vibe that, things are happening, and there's excitement, and I want to say it's better than the album itself. Like that album cover, to me at least, well, it represents the title track perfectly, but the rest of the album doesn't really follow that feeling that the album cover evokes. So anyway, maybe for a track or two, but I love it. It's an iconic picture once again, and the typography, everything. It's beautiful, super beautiful. Number two is once again, I think, a bit controversial because it's Pet Sounds. A lot of people say that the album is a masterpiece, but the album cover is horrible. Like there's this famous quote by Paul McCartney that you got to take better care of your album covers. That you got like goat's ass in the cover of Pet Sounds, and like what is that? Or what was that? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it's true. There's goats in the album cover, but that's kind of one of the better aspects of it. I think it's something. It's so cool because it's something that none of the other rock groups of the time would have done, and that makes it cool and hip, in my view at least, because they are doing things differently. It is, and the clothing of the guys too is super cool. And they have a lot of bunch of different photographs that they took on that trip to the zoo, and that is by far the best for the covers. So they chose wisely, and I don't know. I always loved it, and I think the green color and the Cooper black font, it's so classic. And all the times that this album cover has been mimicked and mocked, and what's the word, like parodied. So it's probably one of the most parodied album covers of all time. It's got to be in the top 50 of the most parodied album covers. I don't know, but I've seen so many times different versions of it by different mock-up groups or just real groups too. So it is a thing, and this wouldn't be happening if this album cover wasn't iconic. And in my opinion, it is one of the greatest album covers of all time. But what is my number one? This is gonna be controversial because it comes from the 70s, and no, it's not LA, it's not MIU, it's not even Sunflower. It is 15 Big Ones. No, it's not. It's not 15 Big Ones either. It's Holland. And Holland from '73 is such an interesting, because there's not any of the members on the cover, and it is kind of murky, but it is not. I love dark album covers, by the way, but it's not too dark like Surf's Up. Like if Surf's Up was a little bit brighter, it probably would be my number one or number two. With Holland, I love the idea with the reflection. If you flip the image the other way around, it's just not that exciting. But when it is presented the way it is, it's so exciting. And that thing, that design with the Holland and the Beach Boys typography, that font, it's so beautiful. It's very murky, old time. It has that country sort of folksy feel, that rootsy feeling that the music also has. So I think it represents the music so beautifully. And the album was mostly recorded in Holland, so it just makes sense. And I love the back cover also, but there's a lot of things happening in that cover, even though it is just a still photo of a canal in Amsterdam. So there's like, I don't know, there's nothing really special behind that, that story of that image, but for some reason it just really hits me really hard. I always loved it, and it's so different, and you wouldn't expect that from the Beach Boys. So when people say that the Beach Boys just had horrible album covers, people like Paul McCartney, come on man. It's just not true. And there is still a lot of other cool album covers too by the Beach Boys, because they did almost 30 albums. So, they got really horrible ones as well, in my opinion, but they got a bunch of other really cool ones too. But there you go, that was my top 10 best Beach Boys album covers What kind of list would you make? Thanks for watching. Hopefully see you soon again on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.